Hello, and welcome to the Liquidity event. We're your hosts, AJ.
And I'm the home run hitter.
It is almost the end of the year. Everyone's nerves are fried.
Don't act surprised.
Everyone is ready to get the fuck out of here and take some time off. I'm looking forward to next week. Tomorrow's our last day in the office before we shut down for a few days. What you drinking, Mr. Mason?
I am drinking Lafroig out, which is a fancy whiskey, out of a, not really that fancy, and then it's out of a Welcome to Las Vegas shot glass. So
okay, seems on brand for you.
Yeah, a little bit of what do you call it when you do something? You go high low.
High low.
Yeah, it's when you love like Taco Bell and also the Ritz-Carlton. What's your whole? You've got that philosophy you've spun at me before.
It's high low. You named it there.
Oh.
High low.
I nailed it.
I'm pretty bougie, but I also really, really, really love Del Taco.
That's Del Taco. Somebody's trying to remind me
Del
what
Taco.
the other taco chain in America is. I couldn't remember the name.
Del Taco.
Mm-hmm.
Are you reading anything interesting this week?
Oh my God, be more scripted. You okay? You're so tired. We're both cashed out.
I'm done.
You're done with
this podcast is 5 minutes this week. I've got an IPO deep dive, some bullshit about millennials, and I'm fucking out of here.
Okay, all right, fair enough. Let's muscle through this one. What am I doing for fun? Obviously, smacking homers.
What are you reading? Yeah.
And I'm actually not having much fun lately. This past 2 weeks have been wrap up, and it's just work and then hiking to get away, go out into nature, take the dog out there, and it's a great way to decompress. Just walk through the fucking woods. I think a lot of entrepreneurs and stressed out remote workers in America can relate to that these days. What I'm reading, I read Hillbilly Elegy via audiobook, the J.D. Vance book, over the weekend in the woods. What are
you, fucking Walden over here?
I love Walden. I'm a Walden. Walden fucked me up when I was a sophomore.
You are such the Walden type.
Get out of here.
That's your number.
I'm proud of it. Fuck you. Actually, all right, whatever. I have an annotated version of Walden somewhere that I annotated personally.
No.
From sophomore year of college. But no, Hillbilly Elegy is a cool introspection on race and class and upward mobility in America, which I think was kind of a good movie. Had some good acting. But apparently the guy's running for Senate now, I just heard. And then now it's a memoir that he wrote to run for Senate, maybe. And now I don't feel as special or like the book is as good. But I don't know. I enjoyed it.
Because there was a motive?
Yeah, I guess so.
There was a motive for him to become upwardly mobile, and you don't like that?
No, I don't know. It's a cool story about a hillbilly that goes to Yale Law School, and his mom is still addicted to pills ever since he was like 6 years old. So, but it's actually reflective on race and class in America in an enlightening and a insightful way. So,
cool.
Yeah. What are you up to?
Cool.
What are you doing for fun? What are you reading?
I'm actually reading a novel for the first time in a long time. I'm reading Manhattan Beach by Jennifer Egan. It's like plot is set early 20th century, kind of right before Prohibition. It follows a main character who's a young woman whose father is involved in the mafia. It's pretty good. I love her. Jennifer Egan is a
fiction or
writer.
nonfiction?
Did you ever? Fiction novel. Did you read Visit from the Goon Squad by any chance?
No, but Goon Squad was my favorite guild in World of Warcraft.
Okay, well, that was her. I don't think it was her first novel, but that was like her big, huge bestseller, which I loved. And I think this is like 2 or 3 books later. And for fun, I'm rewatching Succession season 3 because I was every night when Nabil and I watched it, I was like falling asleep, and every time someone tries to talk to me about it, I'm like, don't remember that.
Yeah, I tried to talk to you about it, and you're like, yeah, it was a good episode. Like, no, you did not watch the finale of season 3. You need
I
to
was
rewatch
not
that
involved
shit.
in the watching. I was there, but I was not present. So we will be. We're on episode 2 now, and I'm learning so much.
I'm learning so much. Wait, you're rewatching the whole season 3?
All of season 3.
Oh my God. Okay, got ya. I thought you were just rewatching the finale.
No. But I missed a lot, and I skipped a few weeks, or anyway.
Who do you
It's great.
identify? What character do you identify as? Do you imagine yourself as Logan Roy in times of entrepreneurial
No,
spirit, and then
no,
as
he's
Shiv in any time that your womanhood is called into business question, and then
yeah. I mean, obviously, identify with Shiv a little bit because she's the running joke is that she's the token woman, and I am often the token woman, and often men make jokes about me being the token woman constantly. So yes, most often with the lines, I identify with Shiv, and she also has she's very witty, so I identify with that. I don't identify with Logan because he's so emotionless that like I
he's
actually
a
like
boomer.
he's an interesting character to me, but I have nothing in common with him. So he's actually my least favorite character. I think he has the least depth. He's a caricature. But he creates some interesting scenarios for all the people around him, so he's necessary. Who do you identify with?
I don't know. I love Brian Cox's portrayal. It's fucking amazing. So it's hard for me not to. I guess I don't identify. It's fun to try to imagine being a cutthroat CEO, which I'm definitely not. I think I'm more of a Tom hiring a prison advisor, or more so a cousin Greg, probably just bumbling. I think I'm a bumbling cousin Greg.
No one wants to identify with Tom, but everyone is Tom, and that's why Tom is the best character.
As a beta, everyone's a beta. Everyone's a cuck beta attached. Okay.
Oh my god!
All right,
This
let's
is
keep
now
moving.
the Succession podcast. All right, yeah. IPOs this week. Nothing too exciting because it's the holidays. Not a great time for companies to make their public debut. There's a couple foreign companies that are listing, but nothing too exciting I want to talk about in terms of who's going public. However, there is a company that is definitely on our radar that just filed their S1, aka their declaration and their intent to go public. And that company is Justworks. What is Justworks?
Justworks is the most exciting type of company. It is a private employer organization, aka an accounting firm that handles payroll. Sarcasm font. No, I mean, I have experience with Justworks. We do outsourced accounting for a few dozen or over 50 companies, and we deal with their payroll here at BrooklynFi. And Justworks is one of those entities that we deal with. They are a private employer organization, which means that they actually employ your employees. If you're an entrepreneur, they're not employers of Entrepreneur Inc. They are employees of Justworks Inc., which means that you get to delegate a bunch of the bullshit to them. It's an outsourced payroll provider. They'll help you with insurance. They'll help you with payroll taxes. They'll help you with filing to do business in different states. They help you with health insurance, which is a boogeyman for small company employers. Employers of small companies. So, and they are tech forward. They're a younger PEO. There's a lot of PEOs out there, actually. Rippling is another startup in the space that has a strong tech background, which we've mentioned before on the podcast. Justworks, however, the name is supposed to imply that it just works, unlike other payroll companies that require more manual tinkering. Yes. It's a New York
this
company.
Sucks.
Yeah, it doesn't work Inc.
Yeah.
They're a New York headquarters. I have experience working with them as a company and also doing the taxes of some of the brass there.
Okay.
For those of you that don't know, I got started in the firm like 6 years ago doing taxes in a bar, and I remember doing some of the brass in a bar, some of the Justworks brass about 5 years ago when they were a much younger firm. But they're looking to raise $100 million with Goldman as an underwriter via this IPO. They're going to use the fund. What are they going to use the funds for, AJ?
What do they say here? We are intelligent, creative, optimistic. We have a high work ethic. We strive to maintain a culture of belonging and acceptance where people can be themselves, work together, trust each other, innovate, learn, laugh, and have fun.
Ooh.
Like, okay, sure, you and everybody else.
Not our company. BrooklynFi does not intend to have any fun or work hard.
No, not at all. What I find interesting about this listing is that they're actually a profitable company. We don't see that very much lately with software companies going public. Typically, they have a path to profitability, but they currently are not profitable. And I love Alex Wilhelm, who writes about IPOs at TechCrunch. He they're slightly profitable, not drastically profitable. I don't get to say this
1.8%
often, given
profitability.
that most tech companies going public are bleeding right ink. Like they recently took up wrestling barbed wire fences for fun. So fuck yeah, profitability. So Alex Wilhelm, who's
What a great
probably
writer.
has great writer, definitely written the most words about companies going public. He's got I would imagine he's pretty jaded by this point. So he's like, oh my God, $10 million in profit last year. Hell yeah. Like that is something to highlight.
To applaud.
But what's interesting about
They got rated a neutral on the profitability scale between weak, neutral, and strong. A 2% profitability ratio is apparently neutral according to tech IPOs.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, what I find interesting about Justworks, it's an HR tool, right? For those of you that aren't familiar with like PEOs or aren't business owners. So if you work for a small business, your founders, your CFO are going to have to decide how they're going to run payroll, and they get to choose between these big behemoths like ADP, or they get to choose, they can do it themselves, which they definitely should not do, or they can choose from one of these newer tech-forward companies like Justworks, like Gusto, like Rippling. But Justworks is interesting. I think this profitability index that you were just referencing, Shane, has to do with their different types of revenue. So they have a software product, which makes up looks like about a quarter of their revenue, but they also have a human expertise element. So they're selling experts in health insurance. They're selling advice to small businesses that requires humans. So they're not totally a SaaS company. They're like 25% a SaaS company, which is perhaps going to hurt them in terms of their valuation. What is the multiple that the market is going to feel like this company is worth, because their revenue is actually expensive because it takes humans to generate revenue. So I thought that was interesting and kind of actually similar to our firm, BrooklynFi, which is attempting to be partially a software company, but also has a lot of humans that do a lot of the work here.
Explain. What do you mean? What do you mean we're a software company?
We're building software. We have a software tool that is going to revolutionize the way we do business, and we're very excited about that. So, while we are not a software company, it could potentially in the future become part of our revenue.
Let's get PR Newswire on the phone. Disclose our 37x valuation that we're after here.
Anyway, Justworks just got filed. Yeah, this S1 just got filed. They're probably, they're targeting probably a Q1 2022 public debut. So I'm sure we'll be talking about them in the future.
Yeah, cool.
Let's move on to some articles. What you got for me?
Well, we've got some fun stuff in general marketing and investing. One of our favorite neighborhood reps are, who is this? JP Morgan. I forget. I always mix up Morgan Stanley, JP Morgan, Wells Fargo, Bank of America, all these fuckers get slapped with these.
All these motherfuckers.
Yeah, they get slapped with fines that are larger than the GDP of Venezuela. I'm sorry. So JP Morgan agrees to $125 million fine for letting employees use WhatsApp to evade regulators' reach. What the fuck? CNBC is reporting on the JP Morgan fine. Where do you want to go with this?
What I found I was like, $125 million, doesn't sound like a lot for one of the world's biggest banks here. So I just casually looked up what their revenue was. And in 2020, their revenue was $122.9 billion.
Mm-hmm.
So $125 million fine is like, what? You don't go out to dinner one night a week for a year? Like this fine is not going to dramatically impact their business. It's not going to lead to a behavior change. I think this fine is too small.
Is that your rating? Are you the emperor of Rome and you give this one a thumbs up?
This fine is a thumbs down.
Yeah. I mean, I went to the company's Wikipedia page and they have a section on lawsuits, and there's one for every year since 2003, lawsuits and fines. And Yeah, I mean, for those that don't know what compliance looks like in the financial advisory space, the idea is that all of your communications between the members of the firm and your clients are all documented so that we can all make sure that we're not guaranteeing returns to people or like misleading investors. That's, I mean, the whole reason that compliance exists in the financial advisory space is because of snake oil salesmen that promise you that they will do this for you and then it doesn't happen. And they're like, I don't know what you're talking about in terms of promises. And they got busted for
Yeah.
using WhatsApp, which is famous for not being like all the messages are encrypted. So they allowed their employees to go outside of the regulatory space to use these shady messaging platforms to do things that snake oil salesmen did in the old Wild West back in 1880. Like, people trust their money to these companies routinely because they've got brand recognition, and yet they continue to Teflon Don these giant penalties. I mean, we've got Donald Trump Teflon Don penalties coming up a little bit later in the podcast, but I don't know. This is hashtag America. And also, I don't know what to do with this.
Yeah. I was talking to a potential client today, and and we get this all the time, which is, you guys are a young firm. How do I know I can trust you? Why shouldn't I just go to these established guys down the street? And I just I don't have an answer for you. Like, those people suck. If you can't see that, I mean, I do have an answer, but like, if you can't see that what we're doing is different and that we're not going to screw you over and not going to just sell you shit that you don't need, like, then we're not a good fit. That's my soapbox for today. That was, these companies just keep doing bad things and keep getting very small penalties for doing them. So they're just going to keep doing them until we change the penalties to change the behavior.
Yeah. Yeah, cool. So we got we have two articles on millennials, one on inflation and one on home purchasing. Do you want to dive into these two?
Honestly, I'm sick of these Wall Street Journal articles. I don't care. It's this headline is "Millennials are supercharging the housing market," and the TLDR of the article is that we didn't think millennials could afford to buy homes because we're paying them less than their parents and they have student debt, and the economy sucks and wages are stagnant, and so they can't afford to buy homes. But it's like, oh, guess what?
Millennials want to be normal, responsible people, just like every other generation. As I said on the last podcast, I think this came up last week too.
It did. Yeah, it's like, surprise. The Wall Street Journal is constantly shocked that millennials, when they reach their late 20s or 30s, realize that, or like, do the normal things that their parents did. Maybe they're doing them 4 or 5 years later than their parents did them because they had to pay off college, or they got laid off, or they graduated in a recession. But yeah, this article is basically, homeownership is difficult right now because there's a housing shortage because millennials are actually buying houses, is like what this article says, which is not news to anybody. But I mean, housing prices are going up, right? The median price of an existing home sold in October of this year was $354,000, which is up about 13% from a year ago. So that's quite a jump in 1 year. Last year, I feel like our clients were complaining that housing prices were already high. So millennials, ruining everything once again.
It's inflation, baby. That's inflation. Are millennials worried about inflation? So how much of the housing price increase are due to the inability for people to build homes due to COVID-19 pushing up the prices on lumber? How much of it is built on COVID-19 delaying the construction of new homes? So older homes, demand or supply is lower. I mean, and we have this other article here on inflation. Who's worried about inflation? Generationally
yeah, I mean,
speaking.
young people are not as worried about inflation. And yeah, and like anything with the economy, according to the Wall Street Journal, everything is millennials' fault. But obviously, as economists know, or most people who understand the way the world works, when we have a crisis or when we see changes in behavior, it's because there's a lot of different factors. And COVID, we're going to see the effects of COVID forever. But I'm really sick of the Wall Street Journal blaming our generation for many things.
Yeah, I mean, like there's two things in here that are interesting to me. One of them is that millennials are less worried about inflation than older folks are. Yeah, because the millennials didn't live through stagflation of the 70s. The other thing is that since we've joined the workforce in 2010, which was post-Great Recession, inflation has been 0% due to a weak economy and the Fed trying to push money into the market to actually create inflation in an attempt to put enough money into the market to create liquidity, increase the money supply. And in another article we're going to see here, we're actually like we're pivoting in the Fed. The Fed is pivoting to stamp down inflation by tapering down their purchases of bonds and trying to take money out of the market, which is creating inflation. But the other cool thing about this not cool thing. The other interesting thing about the article is that they don't just rate inflation concerns from generational divides, but also from income divides. And it's low income families are more concerned than richer ones about inflation. It's like, yeah, no shit. Of course they are. I mean, they have less disposable income. I mean, when the shit rolls downhill, which it always does, is it the 1% that ever takes it on the jaw? Do they ever hear the chin music when there are shakeups in the economy ever? Like, has that ever happened? Ever? Like, give me an example of... Yeah, okay. I guess when the heads rolled in the French Revolution, that was the only time that the guillotine ever dropped on...
Marie Antoinette and Louis XIV.
Yeah, when it happens, I guess it is a lot bloodier than just missing your mortgage payment. Let's see, what else do we have here? You got something on Matt Levine? What is going on here? I didn't read this one.
Oh, yeah. So Matt Levine's Money Stuff column, I read occasionally. And buried in his column this week was this website, which is https://nonfungibleolivegardens.com.
Yeah, what the hell is this?
So this is an NFT site where you can own an Olive Garden franchise. So for those of you who are Olive Garden stans, which Shane, I know you are.
Oh yeah.
You can in the metaverse, you can be an owner of an Olive Garden franchise. Now, just to check, their FAQs spell it out very clearly. So am I buying a picture of an Olive Garden? No. Token artwork is for representation only and confers no ownership over the photograph. You're not purchasing art. You are purchasing ownership of a non-fungible Olive Garden franchise. So you can own an Olive Garden franchise in the metaverse, aka pretend. And then it goes on to say, are the breadsticks really free? Yes, breadsticks will remain free and unlimited in perpetuity. You will have to pay gas fees to mint them, but these fees go to miners, not to us. So I think this is...
This is meta fucked. I guess it's just it's a joke.
It's obviously a joke.
The title of this podcast is obviously meta fucked. Or the Oliverse. Enter the Oliverse.
Yeah. Enter the Oliverse. There we go.
When I don't care about any of this Web 3.0 or Web 4.0. When are they dropping the Pokemon VR MMO that I've been waiting on for 25 years? For those of you that don't know, whenever they drop a Pokemon virtual reality, massively multiplayer online RPG, I'm out. I'm dropping into that world.
Okay, you're out. Yeah,
I'm
you're
not
dropping into
back.
the Pokeverse.
Yeah, we're gonna strap me up to an intake-outtake machine, and they're gonna put the VR. We're gonna do Sword Art Online style, where I don't come out until I die. So if anyone's wondering when the succession plan kicks in, that's when it's going down. Anyway, next article.
Looking forward to that. Anyways.
It looks like the City College of New York finally found my donation that I made. They found the $180,000 box of cash that I sent them in March of 2020. So that's cool. I had to read about it in the New York Times instead of getting a thank you article from the professors at the college. So
there's a secret donor who may or may not be you dropped off a big big box of cash to City College.
Yeah,
which is awesome, right?
Yeah, I mean it was it was a drop in the what is it? What's 180K between colleges? I mean
that's tuition for what, 2 people at this rate?
Yeah. Anyway. All right.
We have not talked about Lord of the Rings on this podcast in 4 episodes, so I'm going to change that. Last weekend was the 20th anniversary of the release of the Fellowship of the Ring film, directed by Peter Jackson. Mm-hmm. And, I'm a very serious Lord of the Rings fan. Stephen Colbert is a very serious Lord of the Rings fan.
I love it.
And has been from day one. So on his show...
He somehow makes it kind of okay, despite his fervor.
Yeah.
His zealousness is overwhelming, yeah. But it's an academic zealousness.
So he made this... Yeah, exactly. So he got his incredible production team together to make this incredible rap video about Lord of the Rings. which has lots of the cast members. I'm not going to do any spoilers except that they rhymed DeLorean and sexy elves in Lothlorien.
Wow.
And
Okay.
well, actually, I'm going to do a spoiler. Method Man is in it, and he's got a hat that has some elvish words on it that you can't really see. So if anyone was involved in the making of this video, I need to know what it says in elvish on Method Man's hat in the Stephen Colbert Lord of the Rings rap. Thank you.
Okay. All right, cool. So we've got about 5 minutes left. I've blacked out some of these articles. We're going to save them for the future, but we do have Trump's fraud inquiry and we've got the Fast AF Series A. Which one do you want to pop up with first?
Fast AF. I have to talk about Fast AF.
Okay. Why don't you take the lead here? And we've got one of your CEO crushes as well.
Oh yeah, don't worry. I've got plenty of time. Okay. Fast AF was fed to me as an Instagram ad, and I just like burst out laughing that they named the company Fast AF. And it's it's one of these services where it's trying to beat Amazon. It's trying to be a cooler Amazon, and it'll get you your shit, whatever you need, to your doorstep as long as you live in New York, Los Angeles, or San Francisco. And I think their guarantee is like 2 hours or less, and it's like higher end stuff. So if you need your Olaplex shampoo or your Glossier lip gloss or your Bala fitness bands or your fancy dog food, they'll get it to you quickly. You feel better about not shopping at Amazon. Kudos to whoever named their company Fast AF. They're really going after a very specific target market.
That's very millennial friendly. Very millennial friendly. I've got our favorite ne'er-do-well, Mr. Don Sr. here in the news as well. I'll do my best to make this non-political.
Oh, God.
Because this is not a political podcast. I am wearing a red hat, after all. And those of you that don't have the video, you'll just have to look it up on YouTube for what's on the red hat. We have the fraud inquiry brought by the Southern District of New York, which is just such a fun string of words to put together. The Southern District of New York is always involved in the most high-class prosecutions. They are looking into what they're looking at right now is his accounting firm's involvement in his fraud. So those of you who don't know, when you are trying to get a loan,
we always get blamed for everything.
Accountants are involved in fucking everything. It's amazing. It's what brought down, our boy.
Enron, right? I was Enron.
It's what brought down Enron. It's what brought down Al Capone. It's the taxes and accounting is what will do you in. It's not just wire fraud. It's also the accountants also involved. But what happens here is that whenever you're trying to get a loan, you need to make a financial disclosure to the lender, to the bank, right? And you often want to say the value of our assets are high and our liabilities are low so that you look great on paper. Now, what also happens is that real estate tax assessors, they try to do a valuation of your properties, and you want to have the other song ready and loaded to sing to them, which is the value of our real estate is low. So, the taxes as a percentage of that real estate are going to be lower, which helps you financially, of course, right? But you can't have it both ways, right? You have to, provide some sort of consistency when it comes to these two different authorities that you're dealing with. And what we have in this case is that a man that is well known for hyperbole has occasionally left certain giant loans off the balance sheet and has occasionally inflated with quite a bit of helium the value of his properties over the years. So we've got these. Imagine being his tax accountant over these years, or being his accountants over the years, and being caught up in the cows have finally come home, and the Southern District of New York, who is ruthless, is finally tearing these things apart. So that's what's going on with that case, in case anyone here is paying attention. We've got two more things.
What did they say? A spokeswoman for the Trump organization said, New York is struggling with crime and homelessness, yet the only focus on the New York DA is to investigate Trump for political gain. So classic deflection, right? What do people do when they're stressed out? They deflect. Classic Donnie deflection.
Yeah, Teflon Don. There we are. Okay, we got a couple of no-brainers for the week.
What's yours?
Mine's to fund your IRA. This is the last podcast you will hear during 2021. So I don't know if anyone listening to this podcast isn't a financial advisor or a client of ours, but if you're not, fund your damn IRA. That's what we call an evergreen no-brainer there.
Mine is also evergreen, which is to treat people beneath you with kindness. I think I've experienced a lot of people who think they're better than other folks treating them poorly, and I think that's not good. So if you're in a restaurant and someone is serving you, treat them with kindness, treat them with respect. They're a person too. So that's my no-brainer.
For all the people that punch
give and you shall
down,
receive.
that listen to this podcast, don't punch down anymore.
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
Gotcha.
We punch down a little bit.
Yeah.
All right. CEO crush of the week is Melanie Perkins, CEO of Canva, which is a online tool to create beautiful graphic designs without any graphic design experience. Graphic designers feel differently about Canva. I think it's a fantastic tool for anyone who's a blogger or runs a social media account. It's a way to make beautiful images quickly and easily. Love this company. She's worth about $6 billion as the CEO and has pledged to give most of her fortune away.
It's all about money with you. It's all about money with you women. You took in women.
She's a great leader and, you know, is trying to set an example for all these other Silicon Valley CEOs who, you know, are sitting on their billions, keeping it in stock and not, you know, giving it back. No one needs $6 billion. And I think she's really pretty well aware of that.
Cool.
You want to read us out? Do we have any special guests? I thought we had some guests here.
Oh, we do actually. I am at my sister's house in Houston, and I do have my niece and nephew here, Mason and Maya, who are going to help us read out. So Mason and Maya, you guys want to come up? Mason, why don't you start us off? Why don't you put her on the dotted line right there? Introduce yourself. You're going to read into the mic here, buddy.
Go first. Email us at liquidityevent@brooklynfi.com. Leave us a voicemail and we'll play it on air.
You got to read it out. Pod and box.
Oh, that's Maya, right?
All right, Maya, come on.
All right. I'm Maya. https://podinbox.com/the liquidity event. Show notes at www.brooklynfi.com/episode 22. BrooklynFi stands can leave us a review if they want to be weird about it.
Nice. Thank you, guys.
Perfect.
Shout out to all the families.
That was our first guest.
Yeah, it's our first guest. Shout out to our listeners that are hanging out with their families. I hope you guys have a great holiday season. This is, you know, one of obviously many diverse holidays during the year. But if you are with your families right now, we hope that you're having some great times with them.
Thanks for listening, everyone. Hope you have a relaxing weekend and we'll see you before the new year. So I'm not going to wish you a happy new year yet. Thanks for listening. See you next week.
All right.